Мейкер. Да, давай сейчас замер и придешь сюда. Сейчас еще минута.
Good day once again from the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Korolyov on the outskirts of Moscow, where 3 new residents of the International Space Station docked, linking up their Soyuz MS-07 spacecraft to the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing port of the International Space Station's Russian segment about an hour and 20 minutes ago. On board that Soyuz vehicle, the 3 new residents of the International Space Station about to begin a 6-month tour of duty on board the International Outpost. NASA's Scott Tingle, Soyuz Commander Anton Shkaplerov of the Russian Federal Space Agency, and Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency completed a flawless 2-day journey from the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to a textbook docking at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time, as the Soyuz and the International Space Station flew 253 miles over the boot of Italy. The Scott Tingle, Shkaplerov, and Kanai crew are going to be met a short time from now as hatches will swing open, allowing the new Expedition 54 crew of the new station commander Alexander Mazurkin and NASA astronauts Joe Acaba and Mark Vande Hei to greet them as the hatches again will swing open. That is scheduled at about 4:35 a.m. Central Time, 5:35 a.m. Eastern Time. We expect a video of that. We've seen a couple of the crew members floating through the vestibule between the hatch to the Soyuz spacecraft and the Rosviet module. Leak checks are currently being conducted on either side of the docking interface, this following the hooks of the Soyuz closing on the docking mechanism of the Rosviet module about 5 minutes after docking earlier this morning. This is a replay of the approach of the Soyuz MS-07 about an hour and a half ago, as in this case, the Soyuz was flying in proximity to the International Space Station over the desert of Algeria. It soon then crossed over the northern coast of Africa and the Mediterranean en route to the final approach and link-up. Again, this was a completely automated approach governed by the onboard systems on the Soyuz and the Corps' automated rendezvous system. And again, here is a view from the Soyuz external camera as the spacecraft closed the final few meters for contact and capture, with docking occurring again at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time. At this point, leak checks, again, are being conducted on both sides of the docking interface in preparation for the opening of the hatches that is scheduled, again, at 4:35 a.m. Central, 5:35 a.m. Eastern Time. In attendance here in the Russian Mission Control Center, and who will be joining us shortly, is the U.S. Ambassador to Russia, the Honorable John Huntsman, who will join us here in our broadcast studio in the Russian Mission Control Center to talk a bit about activities today and the overall complexion of joint International Space Station cooperation. So we'll be expecting the arrival of Ambassador Huntsman here a short time from now. Once the hatches are open, the 6 crew members will make their way into the Zvezda service module, as is the traditional activity for the welcoming ceremony, in which they will accept congratulatory calls from Russian officials, from Ambassador Huntsman, from Kirk Shireman, the ISS program manager, from program officials from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and family members of the crew members. And we'll be broadcasting all of that a short time from now as the crew members gather on the balcony overlooking the ISS Flight Control Room here at the Russian Mission Control Center.
feel so close because roll.
Once the hatches are open and the welcoming ceremony is completed, the 6 crew members will have an opportunity to receive a traditional safety briefing from the new station commander, Alexander Mazurkin. They'll be able to poke their way around various modules of the International Space Station to become familiarized with their access paths to their respective Soyuz vehicles. There will be a power down of the Soyuz systems, their internal systems, as the Soyuz will be placed on ISS power for the remainder of its stay, with its departure not scheduled until June the 3rd. So everything continues to go very smoothly with the leak checks on both sides of the docking interface. The crew members, by the way, will have a very, very long rest period into the rest of the day, Tuesday, and into Wednesday morning, which is also typical as they have a chance to catch their breath, especially for the station crew of Mazurkin, Vandahai, and Akaba, who have been extremely busy with the departure of 3 colleagues last week, the arrival of a SpaceX Dragon cargo craft just a few hours after the Soyuz launch, and again today's arrival of the new Soyuz vehicle. You can see in this view from a high-definition external viewer camera on the outside of the International Space Station, 2 of the Russian spacecraft as they orbit the Earth, 253 miles in altitude, all of the station systems in great shape, and of course the Soyuz performed flawlessly during its 2-day trek from the launch pad in Baikonur to the International Space Station.
Prepare to drive. Да? Ну, хорошо. Это new thing. Yeah, you can see. Color. Modern color. Работать? Чуть-чуть. Don't worry. I will check. During the conservation.
Once again, here at the Russian Mission Control Center on the outskirts of Moscow, the crew on orbit continues its leak checks in preparation for the anticipated opening of the hatches at about 4:35 a.m. Central Time, which will be 1:35 in the afternoon here in Moscow. And it is our pleasure to be joined today by the U.S. Ambassador to Russia, the Honorable John Huntsman. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for joining us today.
It's a great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Sir, the arrival of this new multinational crew to the International Space Station today is the latest chapter in this unbroken permanent human presence in space, in particular the close-knit international cooperation of the United States and Russia in space exploration, again highlighted today by the arrival of the crew. Your thoughts on the importance of that partnership and the example that the U.S. and Russia are setting in space exploration for the future?
Oh, I think it's absolutely huge. I mean, this has been an unbroken level of collaboration since 2000 between the United States and Russia, and our work together goes back to 1975 at least. And what it says to me is that there's a lot of cachet in space exploration. That brings Russia to the table, particularly during a time when our bilateral political relationship isn't perfect. We have some issues we're working through, some very difficult and complicated issues. But it shows that both sides are willing to put science and the betterment of humankind before politics and diplomacy on the ground. And I think that says something very good about both countries.
It has been more than 40 years since the U.S. and Russia demonstrated their joint prowess in space during the historic 1975 Apollo-Soyuz mission. I understand that the commanders of that mission, the iconic Tom Stafford and Alexei Leonov, visited your high school in Salt Lake City in 1977. What impression did that visit leave with you and which has endured throughout the years?
It's just unbelievable to think back now, sitting in high school at the Highland High School auditorium, when in 1977, out of seemingly nowhere, we had a cosmonaut appear on the stage of the auditorium, and Tom Stafford, who I know today, I didn't know then. But the impressions that they both left behind were so enduring and indelible. I carry them with me even to this day. And they stimulated a lot of thinking about the importance of space, the stature of astronauts in society as our modern-day heroes, but also the thought deep in the Cold War at the time, 1977, that Russia and the United States could actually do something together at this level of excellence, which left such an indelible impression in my mind, as I know it did a lot of other teenagers who otherwise aren't inspired or impressed by a whole lot.
Mr. Ambassador, you recently met the crew that arrived at the station today prior to their departure a few weeks ago for their launch site down in Kazakhstan. Scott Tingle of NASA is a captain in the U.S. Navy. You have two sons who serve in the Navy. Your thoughts on how the space program folds into service to our country and what that means to you?
Well, I think still in the United States we revere our public servants. We revere our men and women in uniform, and I can think of no level of public servant that is more respected, more revered than our astronauts. And what it does, and what it certainly did for me and does for my boys now, one of whom is an F-18 pilot in the Navy, is it causes them to see role models, flight after flight, year after year, where they reach. It causes them to set goals and aspire to the heights that these astronauts reach. They still are tremendous role models in society today, and I think when you look at the category of public servant, astronauts still sit at the very, very top. But more than just sitting there, they inspire and they move the generation behind them, which in American society is so indispensable. And I'm so grateful for it in the lives of my own sons.
And finally, sir, the continuing partnership between the U.S. and Russia in space exploration is certain to leave a lasting legacy for other facets of society to follow. How do you see the arena of space exploration playing in as a platform for the betterment for all people back on Earth?
Well, the arena is limitless, and when you look at how we benefit through the science, through the practical applications, through technology, through consumer goods and services that we think are just made up on Earth when in fact they're done in space, through this level of collaboration, it's hard to imagine what lies ahead in terms of our collaboration with Russia and others, and what it will mean to breakthroughs in conquering human disease and extending human life and lifting human suffering that we know all too much of on the face of the Earth. So when you look at the future, it opens up these venues, and it just it inspires the imagination in ways that few other things do. And because we don't know exactly where the future will take us, we don't in the United States, certainly they don't know here in Moscow, the Russian government, they're willing to roll the dice and gamble that through this kind of collaboration and through furthering science and the frontiers of space, that humankind is going to benefit from that. And I think that is such an impressive aspect of where we are with the whole space program.
Well, the new trio has arrived at the International Space Station. You'll be heading up to the balcony here in the control center to have a few moments to chat with them as soon as the hatches are open. But we thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Ambassador. John Huntsman, U.S. Ambassador to Russia, joining us today on our broadcast. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
He has a lot of experience. One, two, three. Tea, hot coffee. What do you prefer? Coffee, tea or meat? Joke? Coffee, tea or meat? Right? Антон, следующие дни... Да, да. Время записываем. 13:16.
13:16, recording time.
Давление.
Pressure.
Стабильно 733. 733.
Stable 733.
And finish. 5 minutes more. This. Okay. And here. Сейчас. Nima? I can give you your bed there. Yeah, you can. Just take. Yep.
This is Mission Control Korolyov. The crew on the Soyuz MS-07 continues the final check of the pressurization across the hatchway to the vestibule of the Rosviet module, to which the Soyuz docked to at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time. All of that has gone very smoothly, and the crew should be on target for the opening of the hatches in about 20 minutes from now, slightly less perhaps than 20 minutes from now. The Soyuz now attached firmly to the Rosviet module, with all 6 crew members about to greet one another through the opening of the hatches, currently flying 253 miles over Central Europe as we continue to monitor the progress of the final stage of the leak checks and the equalization of pressure across the hatchway into the vestibule of the Rosviet module.
Okay, MCC Moscow.
Да, слушаю вас.
Go ahead.
Так, ну, у нас остался последний замер в 13:21. Дальше мы будем делать ускоренное выравнивание.
And then we're going to perform expedited
Да, сейчас посмотрим.
equalization. Okay, let me take a look.
Дальше работать будем по пункту 14.9.3.
Work per item 14.9.3. Okay,
Ну и заранее я просто хочу передать
14.9.3.
информацию, потому что
I wanted to pass along information in advance because after the hatch opening,
не услышимся.
we're not going to be talking in the loops after that.
Необходимо будет выполнить
You
действия.
need to execute steps. Stand by.
Да, Павел, я готов.
Yes, go ahead.
Так, вот необходимо будет выполнить
You need to
действия
execute
по странице 96.
steps per page
Отключить средства
96.
связи.
Turn off the
И
comm
дальше
assets.
нужно будет выполнить консервацию
Then
корабля.
you will
Это
need
книга
to
«Орбитальный
perform
полет».
the vehicle
Страница 25
deactivation,
начало.
page 25, the start of the page in the orbital flight procedure.
Какая книга?
Which book?
Russian flight controllers talking to Anton Shkaplerov aboard the Soyuz MS-07 spacecraft Again, they're in the final stages of the checklist that will lead to the opening of the hatches between the two vehicles some 15 minutes from now, assuming they remain on schedule. And so far, everything with the leak checks has gone flawlessly, as was the two-day rendezvous for the Soyuz from the time of its launch back on Sunday afternoon to this morning's docking that took place without a hitch at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time. Family members and VIPs will be gathering up in the balcony of the Russian flight control room here in Korolyov. They are, in fact, beginning to gather in their respective seats up there to begin the process of gathering in place. Once the hatches are open, the crew members, after they have had a chance to greet one another initially, will move into the Zvezda service module, put on headsets, and prepare for the welcoming ceremony. And there's a view of the balcony here in the Russian Mission Control Center. In the center of your screen is U.S. Ambassador John Huntsman, who we just had the pleasure of talking to a few minutes ago. He's talking to members of Scott Tingle's family, who traveled down to the Baikonur Cosmodrome to watch Sunday's launch, along with family members of Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and Anton Shkaplerov, the Soyuz commander, who watched as his Soyuz craft deftly made its way automatically for its link up to the Rosviet module just under 2 hours ago.
Page 6, deactivation of COM assets that's executed by the crew prior to opening the hatches. You will execute that step, open hatches, and translate to the orbital module. Also, don't forget to install the KSDSU cap. Okay, we'll be standing by for your pressure reading. Astray MC Moscow, we had a short com dropout. Do you have the pressure for us? No, we have not reported it yet. Pressure is 733. Copy, that's great. So delta is 0. We're opening KKT then. Opening KKT. Right now? Yes. Which page? 92.
Here in the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside Moscow, U.S. Ambassador John Huntsman to Russia is receiving a briefing from folks here regarding the front screens here in the control center and what those data screens are representing. Again, Ambassador Huntsman traveled to the Russian Mission Control Center here this afternoon so that he could be witness to the hatch opening and the union of these 6 crew members on board and this multinational crew that's represented. He also will have a few minutes to congratulate them, especially the new crew on their arrival to the International Space Station to begin what amounts to about a 5.5-month mission with their landing now scheduled for June 3rd. The landing of the other 3 crew members, the newly formed Expedition 54 crew, of Alexander Mazurkin, the station commander, and NASA astronauts Joe Akaba and Mark Vande Hei is scheduled for February 28th, Kazakhstan time, the evening of February 27th, back in the United States. They arrived on the International Space Station back in September.
Executing item 9.3. KKT should be closed. Stand by.
The International Space Station is currently flying just to the north of the Baikonur Cosmodrome, from which the Soyuz MS-07 spacecraft took off on Sunday afternoon, moving from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. The final stages of leak checks continuing on board the Soyuz spacecraft as the process of equalizing pressure across the hatchways between the Soyuz and the station's Rassvet module continues.
Так, Нимо. Время засекал, надо через минуту закрыть. Сейчас. Прошло 20 секунд.
20 seconds elapsed.
Сняли тканевый экран. Супонской.
We have removed the cloth screen. MCC Moscow, copy.
Нимо, подготовь, prepare, S6.
Nemo, prepare S6.
Посмотрите, S3 у вас горит, транспарант?
Please verify that S3
S3 горит?
is illuminated.
Горит.
Is S3 illuminated? Yes, it is.
S4 пусть выдадут.
Значит, у нас минута вышла. Закрываем. S6. 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 Вывел S6.
S6.
Семен 4.
S6 не горит.
S6 is not illuminated.
Выдал.
Выдал?
I sent it.
Хорошо. СОП Москвы.
MCC Moscow.
Да, на связи.
Just go ahead.
СОП Москвы.
На связи.
S6, S4 не горят.
S6 and S4 are not illuminated.
Станция откроет свою сторону.
Okay, then the station crew will be opening the hatch into their volume. Okay.
This is Mission Control Korolyov, reports from the Environmental Systems Officer at Mission Control in Houston indicating that the leak checks are now complete. Pressure equalization checks are continuing in their final stage as we are nearing the point of the opening of the hatch, first on the station side, on the Rassvet module side of the docking interface, and then the hatches will be opened on the Soyuz side, enabling the 6 crew members to join one another for the first time.
The KKT valve is closed.
And there you see the new station commander, Expedition 54 Commander Alexander Mazurkin, in the vestibule, the passageway of the Rassvet module, and a good shot of the hatch there that will be swung open a short time from now, followed by the Soyuz hatch to mark the joining of these 6 crew members. Mazurkin, Mark Vande Hei, and Joe Acaba of NASA, launching last September to the station. They'll be on board until the end of February. Mazurkin, veteran cosmonaut, will now begin the process of opening the hatch on his side of the docking interface. That will be followed by Anton Shkaplerov, the newly arrived Soyuz commander, opening his hatch to initiate the joining of the 6 crew members who will greet one another and then make their way into the Zvezda service module for the welcoming ceremony.
Go ahead. MCC Moscow. Go ahead, sending it.
КВД СУБ С5 горит.
КВД СУ
Принято.
is eliminated.
13:30:00. Выдал.
At 13:30:00, I sent the command. Copy.
Запаска минута прошла, выдаю С6.
1 minute has elapsed. 5-6. Copy. Sending.
Выдал, не горит.
Все хорошо.
I sent it. It's not eliminated. Okay, that's good.
And as you hear from Russian flight controllers here in Korolyov, Alexander Mazurka now using the special tool to begin the process of opening up the hatch on the station side of the docking interface, the Rosviet module hatch. Soon thereafter, the hatch to the Soyuz vehicle will be opened by Anton Shkaplerov, who was the commander for the two-day ride from the launch pad at Baikonur towards a smooth docking that occurred at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time, not quite 2 hours ago. We are in a short handover between tracking and data relay satellites, and our communications network will be regaining both voice and video capability from the station just a few seconds from now. And we're back now with a live view in the vestibule of the Rosviet module. Alexander Mazurkin, the Expedition 54 commander from the Russian Federal Space Agency, double-checking with flight controllers here in Korolyov on the status of the pressure equalization across the hatch that will lead first to the opening of this hatch that you see behind Mazurkin, the Rosviet module hatch itself, followed by the opening of the Soyuz hatch by Anton Shkaplerov. the PEV referred to by the Russian flight controllers in radioing up those instructions to Mazurkin is the pressure equalization valve that should enable the pressure to burp just a bit across the hatch interface and make it more facile for Mazurkin to physically open the hatch as we near the reunion of these 6 crew members who have trained together for a few years now, with Shkaplerov, Tingle, and Kanai about to board the International Space Station for the start of their 5.5 months on the orbital laboratory. And a little muscle exerted by Alexander Mazurkin as he has now opened the hatch on the Rosviet module side of the docking interface. And now it's Anton Shkaplerov's turn to open the hatch to Soyuz, and we'll have the 6 crew members welcome one another before they move into the Zvezda service module. Now just seconds away from the opening of the hatch on the Soyuz side of the docking interface, U.S. Ambassador to Russia John Huntsman joined on the balcony of the Russian Mission Control Center by Bill Gerstenmaier, NASA's Associate Administrator for Exploration. They'll be among those who will offer their congratulations to the crew members, along with Russian and Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency officials just a short time from now. Once the 6 crew members are united as one aboard the International Space Station just a few moments from now, and once the welcoming ceremony for them is complete, they will move on to a typical series of activities to complete a very long day, including a safety briefing that will be provided by Alexander Mazurkin that you see here in your view in the Rosviet module. He's the Expedition 54 commander. The 6 crew members will have a joint meal together before they begin an extended rest period that will continue throughout the rest of the day, Tuesday into the early morning hours of Wednesday morning. Aboard the Soyuz spacecraft, the 3 crew members, Anton Shkaplerov, Scott Tingle of NASA, and Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, will have had a chance by now to remove their Sokol launch and entry suits and change into more comfortable flight clothing following their 48 hours in a rather cramped, tight quarters of the Soyuz spacecraft that performed so well with no issues whatsoever during the 2-day transit from the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. And NASA astronaut Joe Acaba now in the field of view. You also saw Mark Vande Hei for a moment, as the 3 Expedition 54 crew members who have been on board the station since September prepare for the opening of the hatch on the Soyuz side of the docking interface right behind Alexander Mazurkin. Joe Acaba, of course, in his 3rd flight into space, his 2nd long-duration mission aboard the International Space Station, a former educator who has been on board again since September, initiating a year of education on station. Acaba will return home at the end of February and will be succeeded in this year of education on station by a former crewmate on the STS-119 shuttle mission years ago, Ricky Arnold, who will launch on March 15th, U.S. time, for a 2-day journey in his own right with NASA astronaut Drew Feustel and their commander Oleg Artemiev, who will become part of Expedition 54 and remain on orbit throughout the course of the summer as members of Expedition 55. While we await the final few steps in the equalization procedures on the Soyuz side of the docking interface, just to recap, the Soyuz MS-07 docked flawlessly to the International Space Station's Rassvet module at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time, as the two spacecraft flew 253 miles over the boot of Italy. 5 minutes after docking, Soyuz hooks closed to form a hard mate between the two vehicles, and leak checks then commenced as the crew members on both sides of the docking interface ensured a tight seal between the two vehicles. The hatch to the Rassvet module that you see there in the field of view swung open about 8 minutes ago, and we're standing by for the opening of the hatch on the Soyuz side by Anton Shkaplerov. As we mentioned a moment ago, this is a view from the balcony of the Russian Mission Control Center here in Korolyov. In the center of your screen, U.S. Ambassador to Russia John Huntsman conversing with Bill Gerstenmaier, NASA's Associate Administrator for Exploration, as they talk about various topics regarding the human spaceflight aspect of the joint cooperation and partnership between the United States and Russia, all part of the multinational complexion of the International Space Station program. The crew members, once on board, will begin a complex series of scientific research. In fact, this mission of Shkaplerov, Tingle, and Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency was recently extended by a few weeks to a landing on June 3rd, specifically to carry out in full a very robust scientific program that JAXA has in store for Kanai, with a variety of dozens of experiments that have been specifically designed for the correct duration of time on orbit. So this newly arrived crew will remain on board the station until they depart on June 3rd, and that will lead to another short turnaround with the next crew after that, Oleg Artemyev of Roscosmos and NASA astronauts Ricky Arnold and Drew Foystel launching just 3 days after Kanai, Tingle, and Shkaplerov depart the International Space Station next June. And we understand from the Russian flight controllers here in Korolyov that the pressure is now equalized on the Soyuz side of the docking interface. We should see the hatch on the Soyuz side behind Alexander Mazurkin open momentarily. Mark Vande Hei of NASA now in the field of view. Alexander Mazurkin was jokingly applying a bit of elbow grease on his side of the hatchway there. We're just seconds away from the opening of that Soyuz hatch that will enable Mazurkin, Vande Hei, and Akaba to greet the new arrivals, that being Shkaplerov, Tingle, and Kanai. And the Soyuz hatch now swings open at 1:55 p.m. Moscow time, 4:55 p.m. Central Time, 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, 4:55 a.m. Central, 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time. The hatches now open between the two spacecraft as the International Space Station flew 253 miles off the east coast of Australia. Anton Shkaplerov first in, being greeted by Alexander Mazurkin, and then Joe Akaba, Mark Vande Hei.
Good, baby. Hey, what are you guys
And Scott Tingle of NASA makes his way into the International Space Station for the first time. And Norishige Kanai now on board, all 6 crew members together. The crew now will make its way into the Zvezda service module to put on headsets and begin the welcoming ceremony to receive congratulations from Russian, American, and Japanese officials. Once again, the hatch opening to the Soyuz spacecraft at 4:55 a.m. Central Time, 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, as the International Space Station flew over the east coast of Australia. While the crew gathers inside the Zvezda service module for the welcoming ceremony, on the balcony, Vladimir Soloviev, the chief flight director, Russian side, Ambassador John Huntsman, the U.S. ambassador to Russia, Kirk Shireman, the ISS program manager, Mamoru Endo, the vice president of JAXA, set to...
Yes, we see you. We read you out of well. Congratulations on successful ingress onto the station. Thank you very much. Right now, we're going to give an opportunity to your friends and family. Okay. That's good. Yes, I heard you loud and clear. Okay, just press the mic. Anton, please. Yes, I hear you well. Is it you? We're congratulating you on this docking. We're glad to see you on board of the station. We're glad to see all your faces. Congratulations. All the very best. Going to give the
on behalf of the United States and the American people, let me just tell you all how delighted we are and how pleased I am to be able to congratulate you on this momentous occasion with Mission 54. I have to say, we've got 3 great Americans, we've got friends from Russia, we've got a great friend from Japan who are part of this mission, and it's such an honor to go Marine Corps, go Army, and I have to tell Captain Tingle that I was watching the faces of his family members as that hatch opened, and it brought a tear to my eye. It was the most special thing being here and feeling the emotion. Everyone is so proud of you. We congratulate you on what you're doing, not just for the people of Russia, the United States, and Japan, but for the people of the world. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks a ton. That's incredible.
Kanai さん、遠藤です。無事到着おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
大変落ち着いた様子で。もうそんな様子を見ると、もうこちら側も大変安心しています。これからしっかり仕事ができると思いますので、国内でも日本でもみんな金井さんの活躍を期待していますので、どうぞよろしくお願いします。
ありがとうございます。アントン船長とスコットの素晴らしいチームワークで無事に ISS に到着することができました。これからすぐにでも仕事を始めたいと思います。どうぞ引き続きご支援のほどよろしくお願いいたします。ありがとう。
金井さん、上賀一です。素晴らしい打ち上げとドッキングおめでとう。
ありがとうございます。
スペース X13 がついて、これからどんどん実験が始まると思いますが、金井さんの、キャッチフレーズは、健康長寿のヒントは宇宙にあるということで、ぜひですね、私とか特に私の横にいる遠藤副理事長のためにそのヒントをしっかり掴んで帰ってきてください。頑張ってください。
ありがとうございます。実は宇宙ステーションに着くまでの2日間の間もすでにヨーロッパの実験の一つの、質問票をメーカーと2人で書いてますので、早速仕事が始まっております。この調子で頑張っていきます。
金井さん、若田です。ドッキング成功おめでとうございます。素晴らしい打ち上げで、金井さんの笑顔を見て、本当にほっとしています。筑波のチームの皆さんと、金井さん支援していきますので、宇宙を楽しんで、頑張ってください。
温かな言葉ありがとうございます。若田さん、楽しむっていうのは今ふっと気がつかされましたけども、仕事ばかりでなくきちんと宇宙経験を楽しんで帰ってまいります。
Guys, you look great. It's great to see you on board. This is Kirk Sharman. Very happy to have you all safely on board the International Space Station. From here on the ground, it was a beautiful launch, beautiful docking, and we're very excited to have you up there. It's also quite a treat to hear so many different languages spoken here in Korolev and on board the International Space Station. So we know you'll have a great time on board. Unfortunately, there's a little work to go along with your great time, but we're all here rooting for you and working for you as well. So have a great time on board, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help you.
Will do, Kirk. Thank you very much. It's a great experience so far.
Привет, это я, Кира.
Hello, this is
Кирочка, привет. Как дела? Как вы долетели?
Hello, how are you? How was your flight back?
Нормально. А как
It
вы?
was fine.
Мы тоже, только долго
How
очень.
about your flight? Well, it was good, just long. We're now on board, ready to start working. Please listen to Mom. And be a good student so I'm not embarrassed to talk to your school's principal. Okay, we'll do. Hugs and kisses if you're ready. Bye.
Папа, привет, это Кристина.
Daddy, hello, this is Christina. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Все хорошо. У тебя как дела?
Everything is fine. How are you?
Хорошо выглядите. Молодцы.
You look great. You guys are doing a good job. Yes, the docking was smooth. Everything was automatic.
Все хорошо. Мы ждем тогда
That's good.
выходных. Целую, люблю, даю маму.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to talking to you over the weekend, and here's Mom. Bye.
Привет, это Таня.
Hello, this is Tanya speaking. How are you?
Очень хорошо выглядите. Да.
You all look very good.
Наших ребят. Не забудьте напоить с горячим чаем.
Don't forget to give the guys some hot tea.
Целую, даю папу.
That's all. I'm going to give your dad the phone. Okay, thank you. Bye. Anton, this is Dad. Hi, Dad. Congratulations on your arrival to the International Space Station. I'm wishing you health and successful operation. Okay, Dad. Thank you. Say hi to everyone, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you at landing.
Hey, Pops, it's Sean.
Hey, buddy, what you doing? I can't see you, but if I could, I'm pretty sure I can see what you look like. I miss you guys already.
We miss you too. And I love your music.
I will.
Hi,
Thank you,
Daddy.
buddy. Hey, Amy, what you doing?
Hey, space suits you. Dig it.
We made it. We had a really good flight up there. We had fun on the way, and we miss you guys already. I hope you're having a great time in Moscow and getting ready to wrap it up and head back home and get back to work.
Yep, well, we miss you already, but we're very proud of you, and we're very glad you're having fun.
Thank you, sweetheart. I love you. I love you too, Sean.
I love you too. Here's Eric.
How was sleeping in the Soyuz? They break it. I didn't press anything.
We are handing over between satellites on the tracking and data relay satellite system. We'll regain this downlink video and audio capability in just a moment. Again, hatches open between the two spacecraft at 4:55 a.m.
Yeah, it's me.
Moscow ISS on station on 1.
Hey, it's great to talk to you. Sorry, we thought we lost comm here for a second. But it's really good to be talking to you, Eric, and I miss you and I love you, and I'm not sure if we're going to drop comm again. If we do, tell your mom I miss her and I love her.
Here's Mother.
Hi, honey.
Hey, darling, how's it going down there?
Eric's breaking the equipment. You know that's going to go on your credit card bill. I'm going to make it really short. We are so proud of you, and we love you, and we are all here, okay? Thanks, Joe, and Mark, and Sasha, and Anton. Thank you. Scotty, I love you, and we'll talk to you later, okay? Oh, and Nemo. Of course, Nemo. Okay.
Okay, baby, thank you so much, and we'll be right home to get those credit cards back.
Okay.
I love you. I couldn't do it without you. On to the next. I love you. Bye.
100 years. How are you feeling? What's your mood? Everything's fine, no problem. Everybody was very supportive. Congratulations to everyone. Well, we missed you already. We're looking forward to your phone call. Okay. Are you going to the Japanese embassy? No, it was yesterday. They were going home. Oh, see, it went very fast.
Понятно, звони все вместе. Хорошо, а то мы вас не видим просто.
Okay. Copy.
Хорошо, мы вас целуем, обнимаем, скучаем.
Well, we miss you.
Целую тоже обнимаю. Пока-пока.
My kiss is bye.
Папа, это Кира. Я по тебе очень сильно скучаю.
Daddy, this is Kira. I miss you already.
Всем вам уже скучаю.
I missed you already as well.
Пока-пока. Буду звонить тебе на сотовый телефон.
Bye-bye. I'll be calling your cell phone. Okay, bye.
Hi, Daddy. It's Amy again.
What you doing again?
We decided not to give it back to Eric, so I'm talking.
Okay, that sounds good. Hey, I meant to tell you guys one. It's absolutely wonderful. What a neat, unique experience. And I'm not sure how long the com's going to last, but just if you could thank Stan and Loretta and Trevor and Ethan for coming. It was great having them out there as part of our extended family, and it was really a great trip with all of you. Thank you so much.
They're not watching already. I'll make sure we tell them.
Okay, copy that, baby. I love you.
Here's Mama.
Hey, Scotty. We FaceTimed with your mom this morning. Did you already forget my voice?
Well, that's all right. I'll give you a call a little bit later, honey.
Okay.
Привет, ребята. Андрей Милинчик.
Hi guys, this is Andrei Mилинchik. Antosha, congratulations on your arrival to the station.
Здорово, молодцы. Хорошо выглядите.
Good job. You look great.
Удачи вам в работе.
Every success in your work.
Хорошо, Андрюш, спасибо. Всем привет.
Okay, thank you. Say hi to everyone.
Kanaiさん、ゆいです。トップからフライトの様子ずっと見てましたけれども、順調で本当に安心しました。今も元気そうで安心しました。金井さんは私とここにいる大西さんよりも非常に真面目に、訓練をして、しかも長くやってますので、私たち3人の中では最後のミッションですけれども、多分一番大きな成果が上がるというふうに思ってます。侍スピリッツを見せて頑張ってください。期待してます。
ありがとうございます。さりげなくハードルも上げてくださって、さすがゆいさんだなというコメントありがとうございます。頑張りたいと思います。ご支援よろしくお願いします。
金井さん、大西です。無事に本当 ISS 到着おめでとうございます。金井さんらしいスマイルを見ることができて、地上のみんなもとっても喜んでます。念願だった宇宙ステーション到着して第一印象どうですか？
そうですね、本当にまだ到着したばっかりで中をじっくり見れてないので、どれぐらい大きなものなのか、まずは自分の経験として体感したいと思います。
はい、時間たっぷりありますので、たっぷり宇宙ステーションの中楽しんでください。帰ってくるの待ってます。
Уважаемые космонавты и астронавты,
Dear
Центр
cosmonauts and
управления полетами
astronauts,
еще раз приветствует вас.
one more time, greetings
И желает
and
объединенному
congratulations
экипажу
on
успешного
docking,
выполнения
and we're wishing the crew members
Мы завершаемся в связи.
successful
Всего вам
operations.
наилучшего.
Thank you and all the very best.
Спасибо вам большое. Всего наилучшего.
Thank you very much and all the very best, and we will talk to you later.
This is Mission Control Korolyov, and with that, the welcoming ceremony is complete. The crew on board together to begin their joint work. The congratulations to them offered by Russian, U.S., and Japanese officials that included U.S. Ambassador to Russia John Huntsman, Kirk Shireman, the ISS program manager, and other officials who have accompanied friends and family to the Russian control center here. Hugs and handshakes on the balcony as the crew begins to exchange their initial moments together. Scott Tingle there in the field of view with a embrace with his fellow NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei and Norishige Kanai with his back to the camera at the moment. The crew members will shortly move into a safety briefing to be conducted by Expedition 54 Commander Alexander Mazurkin. That is typical for a post-docking and hatch opening activity. So to recap, the Soyuz MS-07 sailed smoothly from its launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan following its launch on Sunday afternoon. The two-day journey to the International Space Station was flawless, with docking occurring at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time, as the International Space Station and the Soyuz vehicle flew over the boot of Italy. A few minutes later, the hooks closed to form a hard mate between the vehicles, and that set in motion leak checks on both sides of the docking interface. An airtight seal was determined by Russian flight controllers here on the ground in Korolyov. The Soyuz hatch swinging open at 4:55 a.m. Central, 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time over the east coast of Australia, and the crew members now are together on board to begin their joint work. So with that, we will wrap up our coverage of the arrival of 3 new crew members to the International Space Station. The station back at its full complement of 6 crew members on board, 3 NASA astronauts, 2 Russian cosmonauts, and a Japanese astronaut from JAXA, ready to begin their multinational work on behalf of science investigations and other operational activity. With that, we'll close our coverage. We thank you for being with us throughout the course of the early morning hours. We wish you a very, very happy and safe holiday season from all of us here at Mission Control in Korolyov.